Okay, time to get a little bit philosophical on this. Do some brain training. Got to teach yourself about hoarding and purging. These are things that do affect me and affect everyone else. As you're, finding things to fix and getting things for free and bringing things home and there's piling and piling and piling, you realize that you have X amount of space and you can't have more than X amount of stuff. So you're going to have to, at some point, start purging. Otherwise, you'll be a hoarder. This affects me and everyone else I know. Example. I have 3, 6, 9 bins, one full of patterns and the rest are all full of fabric. And then there's various foams and stuff on top because they do upholstery work. When I had a larger space and a larger shop and more room, I actually had about 3 times that. But that pile of bins and foam and fabric and these 4 tables making up my workspace, including the space underneath it, bins of supplies, buckets of supplies, that is the maximum allowable space for my shop. If I have any more than that, something's got to go. And it goes. So this is a bit of brain training. I have a maximum amount of space for food. And as you can see by stuff being piled on top of the counter, I have gone beyond that capacity. I have reached my limit. If I get any more food coming in, I've got to start giving stuff away and getting rid of stuff. Luckily, there are people I know who could use it if I'm giving it away. I have more boots than I need. Really, I do. I just, whatever. But, yeah, you don't want to have more than you can use, especially if it starts to take up space that you need for other things, like living, or walking around, or having room enough to maneuver. I mean, if I have so much shit crammed in that I can't get in and out or have guests over, then I got too much shit. So I'm going to have to get rid of it. Here's the thing. You might become emotionally attached to things. I know people who become emotionally attached to things and they can't get rid of things because they belong to their relative or whatever, or reminds them of one of their ancestors or one of their friends who died or whatever. Okay. One thing, one item. And keep in mind, your memories are not in the objects you possess. Your memories are in your head. You don't need something to attach to them physically. You remember people because you remember them, because they were memorable, not because you have something that they used to have. It's just a mindless thing. It's a gree-gree. It's a thing that we follow for nostalgia that makes no sense. So, you have to be willing to get rid of stuff. Like, I used to have 3 more dummies than I do now, but I don't need them. I need 1 male form, which I have, barely. I need a small female form and a larger female form. That's it. If I'm making a costume, it's going to be for one of those 3 shapes. If I need another shape, I can modify the existing ones temporarily to fit whatever frame I have to fit. So yeah, you have to be willing to get rid of stuff. And you have to teach yourself that once you start a process, a project, a job, you don't procrastinate. If you're going to do it, just fucking do it now. And once you start a project, don't get bored halfway through and quit. If you are willing to start something, you finish it. You keep going till it's done. So if you're purging, so that way you won't have a pile of excess stuff built up that's half done either. So if you're purging, look at your stuff. Don't do, does this bring me joy? Do, am I ever going to fucking use this? And be honest with yourself. Don't try to justify keeping it. Don't try to rationalize it to yourself. Just flat out objective. Am I going to use this within a reasonable time to keep it here? And if you're not, get rid of it. It goes out the window. Whether it's going to a friend, or going to be sold, or just getting tossed in the trash. Get rid of it. You know, maybe you toss something in the trash, somebody else comes and picks it up out of the trash, someone else who thinks a little bit like you, and it has a good life that way. Like, I had the opportunity recently to have more appliances, but, you know, when I put stuff away, that's the maximum space I have for appliances right there. I don't have room for any more. So, I don't get any more. I don't need any more, and I don't have room for any more. Oh yeah, training your brain, that's a really, really hard thing to do. So you have to learn some philosophies, and you have to learn some and put into practice some ideas that you might not be happy about. Like, well, like I said, knowing that your memories of people are in your brain and not in your objects. If it comes down to it, don't have anything that you couldn't survive, or there is nothing you own that you absolutely couldn't survive without that specific one. This is a saw. It's a really good saw. I need a saw. I don't need this specific saw. I could do just as good with this saw. If I need a saw, it doesn't have to be this specific one. I don't have to keep things that I don't need, that aren't doing me any good anymore. So yeah, be willing to purge. Get other people to help you purge. Listen to them when they point out, you've had this for 10 years and you haven't used it yet, you're never going to fucking use it. You know, it's... Especially if you live around other people, live with other people, you can't be hanging on to shit like that. Because it takes up space and it makes their life more difficult too for having to work around your piles of hoarded crap. And yeah, this affects me and this affects people I know. And they have a really hard time of it. And they have to get help with it. Luckily, they have friends and family around who do help them with it. But yeah, if you're going to live broke, don't be a hoarder. Okay, talk to you later.